Good morning, Democrats. Are we fired up? Yeah! Are we fired up? Yeah! Fired up? Yeah! There you go. Look at this crowd. Look behind you. Look at how excited. Look at the motivation here today in Palmdale. You should be proud of yourself. And so when you go out there today, you have to remind people it's not just about Trump. It's about your health care. It's about jobs. It's about women's rights. It's about dreamers. And we can't let people forget that.
We've all read the statistics of the tens of thousands of people that Steve Knight voted to take away their health insurance. But I'm not here to tell you about the statistics. I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you Andrew's story. Andrew is a patient of mine. I saw him back in 2013, just months before the Affordable Care Act went into effect. Andrew is a young man. He came into my emergency department and his hand was swollen to the size of a balloon. And he had gotten in a fight a week earlier. And after the fight, his hand just kept getting more and more swollen, more and more painful. But he waited and waited to come in, and he finally came to me. And I asked, Andrew, why did you wait so long to come to the emergency department? And he looked at me sheepishly, almost ashamed, and he said, well, Doc, I don't have health insurance, and I was afraid I couldn't afford it. Now, Andrew's hand unfortunately had developed a raging infection, and he had to have surgery to remove that infection, and he lost most of his right hand. Today, there's a 28-year-old man walking around there somewhere out in LA County who doesn't have a hand because he was afraid he couldn't afford access to the care that he needed. That's heartbreaking, it's wrong, and it should never happen in the United States of America. As you go about your work today, remember that. You're working so that people like Andrew don't suffer or even die because they can't get access to the care they need. I can only do so much in an emergency department visit. I need your help. Only you can help elect people who will get help to the people who need it most. Yeah. We must be relentless. I need you to be relentless. Andrew needs you to be relentless. We live in the United States of America. The USA is the richest country in all of human history. We can afford better, and we have to afford better. Yeah! Healthcare is a human right.
They're going to say, okay, you may disagree with us on every human issue about the rights and dignities of Americans, but we're going to put money in your pocket, so shut up and put up with it. And not only will we not do that, but that is a lie. Because they're going to put most of that money to rich people because it's tax savings. And the way they're going to pay for it is they're going to take it out of the pockets of working people and working families and seniors. They're going to cut health care. They're going to cut education. They're going to cut training. They're going to cut every single program that's an investment in the American people.
Before I ever had health insurance, I was Andrew. My family was Andrew's family. Well, we would go to the emergency room for our care. And when something would happen, my parents would often wait to see if we got better or we got worse. That happened to me when I got pneumonia when I was 7, and we almost bankrupted my family because they waited just a little too long. Or when I broke my ankle, my dad said, why don't we ice it for 5 days and let's see if you can walk on it by the end of the week, right? It's not because, they didn't care about us. It's because they didn't want to be a burden on the system. Even though that they worked hard for it, they paid taxes, and they gave back, right? We don't want to roll back to that time where kids can't be taken to the hospital and they get worse, and they oftentimes get so sick that they pass away. We don't want to ever roll back, and that's where Steve Knight stands.
Good morning, Democrats! Good morning, Democrats! Are we going to retire someone today? We're going to continue the effort to take back the House of Representatives. How many people want to impeach 45? In order to impeach 45, we have to have the House of Representatives back. Impeachment starts in the House of Representatives. I'm honored to be on the committee that is going to do that next January, on the Judiciary Committee, where we impeach this man, who has been a lifelong criminal. Collusion with the Russians, that's the latest thing. He's been in bed with the Russians laundering money for several decades. He's a lifelong criminal who took over our White House, and the right wing took over the Republican Party, the extremist right wing, so that many Republicans are retiring because they don't even recognize their party anymore. So until they get their party back, we need to get rid of them. So if we want immigration reform, if we want health care for all in the richest country in the history of the world, it is inexcusable to have people sleeping on the streets. If we want rights for women, if we want labor to be protected, if we want to change the judiciary, if we want to have a country that we should have, this is the United States of America, it should be a country based in social and economic justice. And if that's the country we want, then how are we going to get it? We're going to retire Steve Knight. Good night, Steve Knight. We have other people to retire in California, and California is going to do what California always does, which is lead the way in the nation. We're going to contribute 7 seats to those 24 seats that we need, and we're going to do that today.